Greetings and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Zhack and Witness Show. Super excited for this one today. I mean, I think it's been a long time coming, at least, probably like a couple of years that we've had sort of the idea going on with starting something like this in a podcast, but it's just one way or the other. We haven't had the means to do it with it being technology or time or anything like that. So I don't know about you, but I'm super stoked to finally get the ball rolling on this one.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be fun to finally have a different type of creation. I know that I've been streaming for like a year or two now. I know you just kind of started streaming as well. So I think it'll be fun to have a different space to work in. I know both of us like to talk and have opinions. So I think it'll be a good way for us to express that and with different topics, different subjects that we'll keep going through as the episodes go on. But I think it'll be something fun, and I'm excited to get it going.
And the episode's going to go on for a long time. We're hoping forever, till we're like 95 years old. We're going to be podcasting together.
Grandpa podcast.
But to anyone who doesn't know us, I'm Zhack and this is Witness. And basically the basis around our show is that we're two brothers who share the interests in all the same things, and the process and the way that we've kind of gotten to sort of be the same person but different, and the topics that we sort of run through are going to be centered around gaming, sports, and life, because that's all three things that we love and have since we were kids.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, gaming is definitely a big part of both of our free times, I know. I mean, sports was a big part of both of our lives growing up as kids, between baseball, lacrosse, hockey, all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, that and then life. I mean, both of us obviously have our own personal lives outside of sports and gaming. So, we'll touch into that and just anything that we feel like we want to touch on that's going on in the world, or different sports and different games that are going on. That's what we definitely want to focus on. And those were our big three things that we felt like we could use in the podcast to, keep everything going and keep it interesting.
It's good to just be able to talk, because a lot of people may be bottled up, not be able to have those conversations about things that they want to talk about. So we want everyone to get involved and follow us on our social media and throw us questions and topics of conversations and your opinions too, so you all can get involved in this and maybe relate and share some of the same memories that you have within gaming or sports that Kyle and I do. If you have that sort of connection with your sibling, we want to be able to hear that too. So just in the aspect of gaming, I want to start with what is your kind of coming of age and path to gaming, like the memories that you have with starting and how you sort of got to where you are today?
Yeah, totally. I mean, so I would say my first memory of gaming would be, I think, 5 or 6 years old, Christmas, and we got a PlayStation 1. And I believe the two games that it came with were Madden 2000, I think. And then Marshall Falk was on the cover. Yeah, I don't know which year that is, but Marshall Falk was on the cover, and then we got Gran Turismo were the two games that came with it. So that was my first memory as far as gaming is concerned. I mean, and from there it spiraled off into everything that's today. But I mean, remembering playing old PlayStation games, that was the time where obviously there was no online, there was no nothing, so all that there was me and you, occasionally our dad, and whatever friends we would have.
We smoked David all the time.
Yeah.
He'll tell us, he'll go back and say, oh yeah, I used to beat you guys up. And man, he'd take his controller and he'd be like this. He'd be looking at his wide receiver and he'd be like, which one's X? How do I throw the slant around?
Yeah.
He never beat us in Madden. It never happened.
No, for sure, yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely, my first memory. And, I mean, as far as, path of transition, just to keep it as brief as possible, I mean, obviously, I've been playing games since I was 6. So, I mean, over the last 20 or so years. So, there's obviously a lot of history. But, I mean, as far as the transition, it was, original PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 is definitely a lot of my early childhood. Different Madden games, the Jack and Daxter games, a lot of different stuff, Spyro, FIFA, all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, that was definitely there. And then when I transitioned to Xbox was primarily when Halo 3 came out, and that was also when the 360 and the next generation of consoles came out. So, I mean, that's something where, a lot of my friends had the original Xbox and played the original Halos at buddies' houses or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But I mean, we had a PlayStation, so it was something I didn't really have access to. And so getting a 360 when Halo 3 came out was a big step. Obviously, that was when online started. Online had been around, but as far as like massive multiplayer online gaming, that was definitely a huge spike in that. So I remember that for sure. And then just fast forwarding, Xbox One, pushing forward in consoles, and then only really recently in the last about year or so, I got a PC. I've started trying to game on PCs, learning mouse and keyboard. I mean, it's definitely a huge transition after being a controller player for the last 15 to 20 years of my life. But, that's kind of my natural transition and progression and everything. I'm sure yours is somewhat similar, but I'm sure you have different memories. Fill in some details as far as you go with, your memories growing up.
I feel like your console's going. I feel like that's the path of transition that like every good gamer has taken in our generation. It went from
Yeah.
the PS1 where you could flip it up and play it portable, and then you transition to PS2 and then over to Xbox. And then after that, that's where the console war starts. If you go Xbox
Right.
One or PS4, and then now with crossplay being sort of a thing of the current times, is where PC gets into that conversation as well. But bring it back to your first memory. You say Christmas Day, opening it up. We're 3 years apart as brothers, so I mean, I was 2 or 3 years old, and I have no recollection of that except for the Christmas family home video that we have where mom and dad are asking, what is it, and Kyle's just looking back and forth, and in awe goes, it's a PlayStation. We got a PlayStation.
Yep.
And I mean, I those memories too, growing up playing. I know we had the Star Wars game where we would campaign that
Oh
hard together. I don't
yeah.
even I don't even remember what that Star Wars game was called. I
I
think
don't
that one was
either.
on the PS2 though, but that game was sick. And I think some of my favorites from like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 days, Twisted Metal,
Yeah.
the
Twist Metal
car
Small Brawl.
crashing.
Yep.
Yeah, Small Brawl with the car crashing and weapon power up games. That game, and then the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games were
Yep.
like super sick back in that aspect of things. But like you said, you didn't have the online at that time, so
Right.
us being brothers, I think that's sort of where our competition in gaming sort of started, because it was always split screen or 1v1 in sports games. And I
Yeah.
mean, there were a lot of bad memories, me being the younger brother and having to pick things up on the learning curve. Like you were way ahead of it, because just with your age alone, your mind was so far ahead of mine, and I was still learning how to do these things. But I eventually picked it up. But I would say my biggest memory from being a kid, gaming and growing up and going through it, it is like the biggest mistake that I've ever had in my life. And I remember at the time I was so pissed off that it happened. So it was back in 2007, and it was around Christmas time. And when you're a kid, you're making your list for what you want and what you want to get for Christmas. All Kyle had been talking about, because his friends, was the Xbox 360, and the Halo and everything was out. And then Call of Duty 4 was coming out as well
Right.
in November. So
Right.
all you wanted was an Xbox, so you could be able to play Call of Duty and play online with your friends and everything.
Right.
And then my dumbass comes out of here out of left field, and I go on my Christmas list. I still remember, it still pisses me off. I wanted a Wii. I was hell bent that it was way ahead of its generation, that it was going to be the coolest thing ever, that
Yep.
there's a sensor and you get to control where your guy goes by moving and everything. So, long story short, Christmas Day comes around. I open a Wii, you open an Xbox at the same time. We're both stoked because
Right.
we both got exactly what we wanted. And then we started playing the games, and I'm looking at you playing the Xbox every single day, and I'm just getting jealous and seeing you do it, to the point where when you were doing extracurricular activities at school, I would sneak onto your Xbox and start to play COD 4 multiplayer lobbies, and you were in the leaderboards keeping track of your KD. And I mean, you could see stuff when it was going wrong. And
Yeah.
I mean, that is like my fondest memory from my childhood in gaming, is the mistake that I made to get a Wii back in '07, and then you got COD 4. And I think that's sort of where I was introduced to Call of Duty and fell in love with that, and that became one of my favorite games. And I remember on the Wii as well, World at War came out on the
Mm-hmm.
Wii, so I was able to get Call of Duty on the Wii. I still didn't have an Xbox, and I was low key nasty at Call of Duty World at War on the Wii. I remember being like top 200 on the leaderboards in that game.
Yeah.
Don't know how many people played that game on the Wii, but I
201.
mean, I remember I remember pulling off dogs every game, 7 kill streak, but the jealousy just mounted over time that I didn't have an Xbox. So after it became long enough, I went and got my allowance money and I kept on saving it from month to month. And then I traded in old Wii games that I didn't want and finally was able to get an Xbox of my own. And sort of when I really transitioned into Xbox was playing Modern Warfare 2. And that's sort of what
Yep.
I remember from my start to Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely the same but different path, like you're saying. The biggest difference is the Wii versus the 360 and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, different memories as far as that. I mean, that's one thing too. That I mean, if we fast forward to stuff like with today, you mentioned like Modern Warfare 2. I remember with some buddies in high school, we played a LAN tournament out of Buffalo Wild Wings right before Modern Warfare 2 was coming out to try and win a copy of the game or whatever. And just stuff like that, like launch events, midnight launches, smaller LAN environments and stuff like that type of world, is just pretty much gone. Like, I mean, now it's like everything's digital online. Most
Yeah.
of your tourneys for games and stuff are all through these different websites and stuff. So it's like, you still have your pockets that have LAN and all that stuff. And obviously there's major organizers that do LAN events, but it's something that is definitely a fond memory that like younger kids and younger generations that are never going to get to experience. Waiting outside of a GameStop for a game at midnight and driving home and popping it in and playing. Now it's you download it on your Xbox or your PlayStation or your PC, and at midnight you can click and you can go, and that's it. So it's
Still like
definitely
that memory still gives me like goosebumps to this day of having it where you kind of go to mom and dad and you wait for that approval. Like Modern Warfare 2 is coming out tonight at midnight.
yeah.
We're both going to get it. Is there a possibility that we can have you call us in
For
from
school
school
tomorrow.
tomorrow and have
Yep.
us be sick, and we would play from like midnight until 5 in the morning, and then get the go ahead to stay home from school, get like 3 hours of sleep until like 7 or 8, and then just grind. And I mean,
Yep.
like you said, you'll never get that feeling again because
No.
everything is digital now. And even if you go to whatever release party and you can go at 9 o'clock because we're on the West Coast, and
Mm-hmm.
now GameStops, whenever they did have those releases, did it based off of East Coast time.
Right.
But then you get home and depending
Yeah.
on your internet, you have to download
Download the
the game for
game.
4 hours.
Yep, yeah, and that's the biggest thing that I'll remembering back when we were younger versus now. It's like plugging in the disc and playing versus now. It's like even if you bought a hard copy still as opposed to digital age stuff, it's like you put it in and it's a 50, 60, 70, 100 gig file. It's like, yeah, it's going to take you 4 hours. So even on the night of, it's like you can't even play because you have to do all the installation and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's something where I think that the progression has definitely been beneficial for everything. I mean, as much as we joke about file sizes and updates and all that stuff, with like Warzone updates and all sorts of stuff, that's always crazy. I mean, the digital age and the access to it's definitely a little bit, better. It's easier. It's a lot more exposure for games and gets more people involved. Remembering like 10 years ago versus now, just the groups of people that play video games have changed so dramatically, or at least openly played video games has changed a lot to where you're seeing a lot more popular actors and athletes and all sorts of people playing games and being open about playing games, whereas 10, 15 years ago when we were younger and teenagers growing up, it's like back then it was like the stereotype of people that play games are not any of those things. They're not
Right.
athletes, they're not actors and singers and whatever. It's like
You're just nerds.
exactly, yeah. So I
It's just a
mean,
negative connotation and like that stereotypical name that surrounded playing video games and wanting to do that. And people didn't know that it was going to take off to what it became today, that you
no,
could
for
make a
sure.
career and a living out of it. And I mean, that's something where I think it's so important to always be true to yourself and do what you want to do. And I don't think we've ever stopped playing games, even when society says that, you're a nerd or this or that, and they kind of give it a negative connotation. I think we were always true to ourselves and kept playing no matter what. And we found a place in the community, sort of.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that kind of moves us into like, I know something else we want to talk about is just like, you know, aspirations with gaming and, starting the podcast and what we want that to look like and all that. I mean, we kind of touched on it briefly. Is just like the way the world looks now with gaming. It's like with all these different platforms, you have Twitch, you have Mixer, you have YouTube, you have Facebook Gaming Live and all that stuff.
Right.
It's like there's so many different avenues and access points for streams and for content creators. And it's something that I know both of us, like I had mentioned at the beginning, I've been streaming for about a year and a half or no, so now, on and off as far as like quality and quantity and caring and all that stuff. I mean, I know when I first started, it was something I was really passionate about getting into, and then it kind of fizzled off, and then I got a PC and I tried to upgrade some stuff and do all that. So I think it's something where, as far as for both of us go, it's, and I think most people that play games a lot, it's something where, your aspiration is definitely to grow on a platform, whether that's Twitch or YouTube gaming or Mixer or whatever, and, gain a following and do that. I know for you, recently kind of started doing that on Twitch and have going through that process. So it's a little more fresh for you. So I don't know if you want to talk about what that looks like and as far as like gaining traction on those platforms and what you can do or what you've seen people do and all that to kind of get that going.
It takes a lot of effort to try and build and sort of get into that mode of having a routine, because the biggest thing in the gaming space that I think is you have to be consistent and you have to continue to do stuff to, whereas if you fall off for a little bit and you're not passionate about it, where this is something that if you want to pursue it, you have to go and pursue it and have to go balls to the walls and as hard as you can and keep doing it and not ever let your foot off the gas, and you can't get discouraged with anything. And as far as my aspirations go, I think personally I love streaming and I think it's fun to game with everyone and build a community. I think is the coolest thing, is have people that maybe are entertained by you or look up to you in the aspect that when they get home from work or a long day, it's like, I want to go watch Zhack or I want to go watch Witness and get some good vibes from their stream. But also, I mean, I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism and I did sports broadcasting where I was at. So I have that background and I always wanted to be a caster. I would love to do that. And I think both of us, our roots are strongest in Call of Duty. So that's something that I've always been interested in casting for. And I remember sort of going back of how we got into gaming and what like our pathway has been for
Mm-hmm.
both of us. I think our whole lives. I mean, you were more of a Halo kid than I was, but for me, it was Call of Duty through and through. I had every single Call of Duty. Here and there, I would go play story games like Borderlands, but it was always Call of Duty, and I was so passionate about that. And I remember just the first time I really recognized the pro scene was back in Black Ops 2, and it was something I just
Yep.
fell in love with, in the fact that I could watch football, for example, on Sunday and watch, the Broncos play, and you hear Jim Nance calling the game, calling play by play for that. And then you turn over and you're watching a competitive gaming event that has a sold out arena with the same thing. An announcer, like back in the day, it was, Puckett, and then Courage came along as well. And it's the same idea of a professional sport. And those guys calling a game, painting a picture, drawing the story, hyping up the audience, doing interviews with players. And it's a sense of where it's professionalism for them, but it's also sort of drawing entertainment and a fan base to a crowd. Casting is something that I've always wanted to do in Call of Duty specifically. And I remember greatest gaming memories that I have between years is we went to CW, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and I remember I was going there to watch the event. It was my first LAN event that I've ever been to, and Anaheim was probably the coolest one and the best one to have, just because it's the most drawn out event for Call of Duty through the year, people say. But I was there and I was trying to network. I brought my resume, and the first thing I saw when I got there is a bunch of people were going up to Courage and taking pictures. And this was back when he went 0-15 back to back in the search, and he has the donut shirt made out of it.
All right.
And all these people were going up to Courage wearing that shirt and saying, "Yo, 0-15, let me take a picture." I walked up to Courage at CWL Anaheim, and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm a broadcast journalism student. I'm a junior in college. Here's my resume. I do sports right now, but I want to break into the video game world." And that resume, he probably took it back to the green room and threw it in the trash can. I don't know if it ever saw any talent advisor or anything for MLG, but I think what I'm sort of getting around to, back to your topic of sort of what we want to do in this space and our aspirations, I think at the end of the day, you have to be driven, and things aren't going to happen overnight. You're not going to have one streaming session and then you're going to wake up like Nick Merckx with 30,000 subscribers and having 40,000 viewers. It's something where you have to build a brand consistently and have to be driven, and you can't get discouraged if you have 5 viewers, 5,000 viewers. You have to be the same authentic person. You can't just on that. And I think, I mean, you've been doing it longer for me, and there's different ways to grow, but it is hard to grow in the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as, for me, it's, I've been, like you said, been streaming for a little while, and, so I've kind of been along that ship for a little while, and it's like, getting affiliate, feels like a grind, especially for a lot of new people. It's hard to network and do all that. I mean, obviously there's some ways you can get around it and kind of get fake followers and all that, but it's like, obviously that's not organic growth. You're not going to see actual numbers from that or anything, but yeah, I mean, I think it's something where the biggest thing that a lot of people say and a lot of streamers say is just being consistent, and having kind of what your brand is and your audience, whether that's a specific game or some sort of entertainment value that you have, or whatever it is, finding whatever your kind of element is to your stream, and really just milking that and staying true to that. And over time you'll gain some traction, and you'll develop a community that enjoys what you do and who you are. And I mean, I know the biggest thing like I did when I was earlier on in streaming, when Fortnite was really big, is like having tournaments and like doing that for followers and subscribers and all that type of stuff. And you see that even with bigger streamers, obviously like Nick Merckx has his Warzone tournaments every week and all that stuff. And I know there's a lot of other streamers that run tournaments in Fortnite and Apex and all other sorts of games and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing when you just are a small streamer is just really taking the time and realizing, like you said, that it's not going to be an overnight success, and it's a grind. I mean, you look at people like Ninja, Nick Merckx, Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tatman, Summit, like all of these guys were all either ex-professional gamers or just content creators, even though that wasn't a term when they were starting. But they've been in the scene for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, some of them, and it's not really until these last 2 to 3 years that they've seen the success that they have now. And so that's something where obviously the median age in this space is very young, and it's something that is hard to teach patience to someone that's at that age, and is something that is learning that you need to consistently stream, consistently put out content. That's something where it's hard to teach young people to have that drive and have that motivation to keep going at it when they aren't seeing results, they aren't seeing numbers and things like that.
I think building a brand is something that's one of the most important things that people can do. And like you mentioned, everyone who plays games or is sort of in this community and is trying to grow, it's really challenging to do. And there's a few things that kind of help on Twitch where, like you said, you either have to be nasty at the video game, because people are going to watch you if you're dropping 40 bombs in Warzone, obviously, because it's not a common thing unless you're one of the biggest people out there. So being nasty at the game, or you have a niche like Dr. Disrespect in the character that he plays and how authentic and in-depth his production level of his streams are. That's something where it's almost like you're watching a movie or a TV series and a new episode every time he streams, because he put so much into that. So he has kind of built up his brand by finding that niche. or something like where you said with Ninja, he used to be a professional Halo player, and that's sort of, he built a small following from Halo, and then he sort of broke out of and started run-ins with Tfue and Dr. Disrespect there. And then when the numbers came off, and I think all of those names that we've mentioned were so smart in just finding the opportunity and seeing something that could really grow and be something that's enormous. I think that's one way to grow. So I think, to wrap things up, for people who are wanting to sort of grow their platform in the gaming industry, you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. You can't go out and try and be someone different or try and imitate someone, or buy these fake followers, or try to go beg for stuff. Like, people are going to find you and be entertained and enjoy who you are as a person and a streamer, and that's how you're going to grow, and you're going to have people coming in and chatting with you and asking those questions. So I think being authentic, being consistent, and then networking is such a big thing in the gaming community, because in the day on Twitch right now, where gifted subs and hosting different streams and things of that nature are happening, a smaller streamer can get hosted by someone who's semi-small or has a medium-sized viewership, and that can help kind of escalate them more and more. And even doing small stuff, like if you're playing Fortnite or Warzone or anything like that, if you play random duos and you find a partner who's just a chill gamer, and he's a person just like me or you, and then you start playing together and you sort of build a community off that. I know you've done that. A lot of the people that you play with nowadays are friends that you have just found through gaming and random stuff, whether it be playing League of Legends or Rocket League. And then after that, it's like, hey, you want to join my Discord, and I game a decent amount and I stream, we can play together. And you've sort of built up followers from that, and now I know these people through your Discord, and they'll pop into my stream every once in a while and say hello. So I think collaborating and just being a nice, genuine person will help you grow as well. And you can't get discouraged if someone comes in and talks to you and say, oh, you're trash at the game, or your stream is so lame, or this is stupid. Like, who are they? Like, just throw them to the wind. Don't take the bullying and discouragement. Be yourself, be passionate.
I think I lost you.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, you're here back again, but you kind of froze up. You've been kind of chopping a little bit for a while, so
yeah, it's been back and forth with you too, but we'll be okay. But yeah, just being authentic, and I think that those are the things that people can sort of do to grow their stream, is just collaborate, be yourself, and keep striving to do everything that you do. And that's how you sort of break into the space and become some of the people like our favorites who they are today. And I mean, a lot of people know them, but I mean, right now in this day and age, who are some of the people that you sort of look up to and try and watch and gain inspiration from to strive to be like them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the bigger names are definitely people that we all watch and everything. But I mean, so like right now, I watch Nick Merckx all the time. As far as playing Warzone and everything, I'm kind of in the middle of that. I don't play it a ton, but I still play it. So it's, I just watch Nick because, like you mentioned, I've been watching him since back in Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 days. And I remember, like, when I first got married, we were living in the apartment. Coming home from my job at the time, which I hated, and just having that as a means of entertainment and an outlet for, come home, hang out with the wife for a bit, eat some dinner, do all that, and then 7, 8, 9 o'clock, or until I'm ready to go to bed, turn on Nick's stream and watch them play 3v3 wagers and Black Ops 3 all night, or tourneys, or whatever they were doing. Those were the streams that really made me realize that this is something that I like and that I would want to do at whatever capacity that I have the time to do. But just those entertainment and those vibes that you would get from those streams and everything, those are good memories I have as far as, like, streamers and who I like. I mean, and currently, I'm kind of all over the place as far as who I watch and who I, grab inspiration from. Right now I don't really transition well to other platforms. I've kind of just stayed on Twitch. So it's like, guys like Ninja and guys like Courage and, other people who have transitioned to either YouTube or Mixer or stuff like that. I've just kind of stuck mentally on Twitch, so it's like I haven't followed them necessarily where they go. I mean, obviously, I still keep up with them on Twitter and everything like that, but I know like someone like Zhack who, small streamer, podcaster, pretty small following, and then just dramatically increased in his following and his community just exponentially, which was crazy to kind of watch and see, and just see how fast that took off for him. So it's like, that's something where Zhack has a ton of talent and a ton of gifts as far as entertainment, and coming from the caster background, he knows how to frame things and really make people see and be entertained by what he's showing them. And so, that's something where, you're on that side definitely more than I am, as in that world. So, but I mean, inspiration comes in all shapes and forms from those people and stuff. So, and I'm obviously kind of in other games, League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics and Valorant and, all sorts of stuff. So I kind of watch a variety of people, but I mean, I would definitely say the person that's been the most consistent over the last 5 years that I've watched has definitely just been Nick, and everything he does. So, I mean, and I know it's pretty similar for a lot of people, but a lot of people found him with Fortnite. So,
Right.
having known kind of what his streams were like before Fortnite and all that stuff, and just seeing where he is now, it's really cool. And I definitely think he's one of the rare examples that he hasn't changed, I wouldn't say, as far as his personality and his like streams and everything he does, even
Yep.
with going from 200 subs to 40,000 subs. Like,
Yeah.
he's pretty much the same person,
Right.
on camera and on stream and everything, as he's been forever. So it's like, that's really cool to see too. And that's something like I would want to be as well. It's like, if we ever found success in whatever aspect of, Twitch or YouTube or podcast or whatever, it's like not letting things like that affect you. And it's like, you see that all the time with different people. It's like when they kind of start gaining traction and viewership, they, start changing what they do, or feel like they have to
Right.
start changing their streams and the type of content they're putting out. And, that's one thing that I would have the opinion that you don't need to do that. It's something where if you've grown with who you're being, like, there's no reason to change, because obviously that's something that people like and enjoy, and that you find success in something like that.
I think that was one of the coolest things too, was when we were at CW Anaheim, all these personalities from around the
Yeah.
country and around the world even are there. And we got to meet that squad with Nick Merckx, Gage, and Neo.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the exact same person you see on stream. You go up to Nick, you say, "Yo, what up, bro?" And he goes, "Yo, what up, chicken pot pot? Like, what's
Yeah.
up?" And he doesn't change who he is, and he'll make fun of you, and he'll do this and that. And I remember it was just a great time in Anaheim being able to do that. And I remember it was cool then, because I think I had just turned 21 back in May too. So after the event was over at the Nights, everyone would go to the Hilton Bar. That's where all the
Yep.
Call of Duty players would go, all the content creators. And I remember having drinks for a couple of hours with Nick and Nade Shot, Gage, Neo, Scump, and then Havoc,
Hmm.
Nagafin. Havoc, you were underage at the time, okay? You weren't drinking. I'll vouch. You're good. I'm here for you. But just getting to meet all those guys and hang out with them, and that's the coolest part about gaming, is it is a community.
Yeah.
It was like it almost felt like you were at the high school lunch table, and
Yeah.
everyone was making fun of each other, talking smack about each other, and you're just there laughing, having a good time. And I think that's the coolest thing, like you said, growing and becoming so big and not changing who you are. And for all the people who say Nick will change, say, "Oh, you never read my sub, you never read my donos, you never read chat," you have to understand this guy
Yeah.
has gone from having like 500 viewers to like 2,000 viewers when you remember, to where consistently day-to-day basis he has 35 to 50,000 viewers, and
Yeah.
sometimes even more when he's having a big tournament going on. He can't read all 60,000 people in the chat. And if he
Yeah.
has, a 700 sub train that day, he's not going to be able to read everyone's subscriptions and messages. But you have to know and understand that he's coming from the right place. He appreciates it and he loves all you guys. So, I
Right.
mean, I think that's the same thing for all these other people we've talked about. I think that Courage, Tim, Ninja, Lupo, all those guys are exactly who they are, and when you meet them, they're all just going to be the goofballs that you see. And
Yep.
they're the thing at the end of the day, and the thing that I think I learned from being sports broadcaster in college, because we live in Arizona. I got to work with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and all these professional sports teams. Them and the Phoenix Suns were the primarily two. And the biggest thing I got to learn from that was they're just people like
Mm-hmm.
you and me. I go see Paul Goldschmidt or David Peralta or Devin Booker, and these guys are making millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And at the end of the day, they're just human beings like you and me. And it's the same thing with all these big time streamers. They're just guys at the end of the day, and you can be friendly with them. And that's sort of the thing. So to kind of get back to it with our favorite streamers in the gaming space, I think it's consistent that we've both been watching Nick Burks for 5 years, and he's, you know, sort of been inspirational for us into the gaming community, but life as well. When he was super big on his health grind and working out and everything, I know, I used to be a bigger boy back in the high school days, and I mean, watching his stream sort of helped to give me that smaller inspiration to get where I am today. What's up, Murph?
Hey,
What's
Murph.
cracking, buddy? Is it dinner time almost? But it's inspirational to the community and the people and things of that nature, and to have seen them grow over time, I think that's something that's so cool. And us starting from a small place, me and you, that's where we are right now. We don't have this massive following, and we're small people, and we're just
Right.
looking to meet people and have fun and build a community of just good vibes, and sort of an outlet of where people can get away from life and things of that nature. So I want to ask you, other than those streamers that we sort of know, where do you see around Twitch of a smaller streamer who maybe you'll pop into every once in a while, and you just love their community and it's part of that sort of good vibe scenario, and someone that you want to give a shout out to? I think this is a weekly segment that we want to do with supporting a small streamer and trying to get you guys who are watching the podcast right now to go and help these people grow and say what's up in their stream.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a handful of like other smaller streamers like me that I, follow, and I kind of pop in and out, on their channels on different days, and when they're streaming and everything. I mean, I definitely think, you have your core group of friends, and then you kind of have other people that you've just found through Twitch and stuff like that. So I mean, like, a couple different people that I know that I've played with a lot, and watched a handful of times. His name is Shenpai. I mean, he's been a guy that's been in my community for probably like a year now. And I've been around his community for like a year or so now. And, so definitely kind of like what you were mentioning earlier, just like seeing and meeting him, and being in his stream, and then, getting to know his viewers and his kind of regulars in his stream, seeing them pop into my channel every once in a while, just networking in those aspects, stuff like that. I mean, he's a young guy like us, he's kind of just, grinding, going through what he's doing for his stream. So, I mean, he's definitely someone that, I would definitely, shout out as far as, anyone that I know that hasn't checked out his stream before, definitely check him out. He plays a lot of Fortnite. He does a lot of kind of like RPG games as well. So, I mean, it's something that it's a little bit of a different, vibe. He's definitely very competitive with Fortnite, but when he's not playing that, he goes into a lot of like variety and just kind of chiller games that you can relax with and just kind of vibe to, chill, talk to his chat, and all that stuff. So he's definitely probably the one that first comes to mind. I mean, I have a lot of other buddies that I pop in and out of their streams and stuff too. And as we go on with the podcast, I'm sure they'll come up as who I kind of want to talk about as well. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely the one, Shenpai Please, I think is his name as far as the Twitch handle goes. And I mean, we can put him in the link in the description and everything.
We'll
But
make sure we'll pop all of his socials on
yeah,
here,
exactly.
and his stream, and there'll be a link to it in the description. So you guys make sure you go check him out and take a peek at what he's doing over there on Twitch, and be supportive, say hello, drop a follow, drop a like if he's on YouTube or anything like that. And this is something we want to do every week. We want to help grow the community, and not only ourselves, but we want to be inspirational to others, to have people help to sort of keep a positive mindset and don't get discouraged and keep doing what they're doing with having people pop into their streams and leave them a follow, subscribe, donate if you have the means to do that. And I think that it's important to do this and support small streamers and kind of get people to see and watch new people every week. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's important.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think diversifying kind of who you watch on Twitch keeps it fresh and allows you to find new content creators. You know, you watch someone new and they're playing with other people that you've never seen or heard of before, so that's other people that you can go watch or check out if you feel like it. You know, it's the same and across a lot of different games. Like I said, I play a lot of League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics and stuff like that. So, there's different streamers over in that space that, I watch on a pretty consistent basis as well that, as far as like overall Twitch numbers, they're not huge, like you're kind of saying, like 1,000 viewers or something like that. But, you find other creators by kind of watching other people. So, if you have your 2 to 3 to 4 channels that you consistently watch regularly, I would say it's definitely something that I would encourage to, try and watch, someone new or someone different, at least once a week or something, because you either find them and you enjoy their content, or someone they're playing with, you think that you would enjoy their content. And, a lot of streamers are always playing with other content creators. So it's a pretty safe assumption that if they're playing with them, they're probably also streaming, and you can go find them and their content and watch them. So, branching out, finding new streamers, finding new entertainers, whether it's in different games or in the same game and just kind of from a different aspect of the role they play in that game or whatever, it's always good to kind of branch out and find different things and different means of entertainment and different streamers, just to not only keep your entertainment fresh, but also be able to find and network with new people and things like that.
I think just always put yourself in other people's shoes also. Like if you're streaming and you have 10 viewers or whatever, just think about how good it feels when you have someone new who you've never seen before in your stream stop in and say, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm just stopping by, say hello." Like,
Yeah.
oh, and then they watch you get a win. If you end up having a good game, or in League of Legends, Warzone, Valorant, if you're playing Minecraft and you do something funny and that person sees that just for stopping in and then they spread the word to others, that's how natural growth can happen. So just think about putting yourself in other people's shoes and do the good deed. It takes 15 minutes out of your day to go and stop in someone's channel, say hello, have a little conversation back and forth with them in Twitch chat, and it'll make their day, whether it be Twitch, Mixer, Facebook. Like, drop into those different platforms and say hello and sort of just spread the love. I think that's something that's so important to do inside the community and helping other people grow. So I know that's sort of been a big topic of what we've sort of been on today, is just trying to help the community grow and things of that nature. So that's one of the weekly segments that we want to do, is help and support small streamers. But I think that the another segment we have in mind that we want to do weekly is a clip of the week.
Right.
Whether that be a super nasty play or something hilarious that happens, we want you all to send stuff into us. You can send it to our socials that are on Twitter on the screen right now. Send us a video, send us a clip of you doing something crazy in game or something hilarious, and you'll have a chance to be featured here, have a bunch of people see it. So the clip of the week that we've chosen this week, in my opinion, is just, it's absolutely hilarious. And talk about an authentic streamer. We're going to TST, Team Summertime, with George, Blake, and of course the man himself, Hitch. And this is the TST Hitch. It's the Rust rap in Call of Duty. They're just playing some S&D wagers. Hitch gets a beat behind him. You know how Hitch is with music. He's got his rap game going. He likes to get into the freestyle. He goes in not only with the Rust rap, you all know the Call of Duty map Rust, but he pops off in this clip too, and it's hilarious. Picking up the ace. Check it out.
This Rust gotta go. We gotta go. Cobra. This Rust gotta go. We just gotta go. Which way to go? I'm going B. They can't see me. It's easy E. The way I just hit all the motherfucking feeds. Oh yeah, it's me. Oh yeah, it's me. I'm the best as can fucking be. see. They gotta go.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny clip. I mean, it's something that, I actually kind of forgot to mention them in streamers that I enjoy watching and find inspiration from. So the TST guys, Team Summertime, I watch them pretty regularly on late nights because they're always typically on pretty late. So like if I'm trying to go to sleep or fall asleep or kind of just wind down for the evening, I'll watch them. So I mean, that clip in specific, like, when I saw that, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's something like that they're doing on like the daily. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but like, I think the fact that, it's like, you'll get, I would say probably like 1 to 2 bangers a week from Hitch. It's like they have those moments where he just drops a sweet bar to some beats and everything. And it's like, that one to me is just, I guess, a little bit more impressive than some of his other ones because it's like they're going through, a wager match and it's Rust. It's kind of these weird settings where since it's such a small map, the teams get a respawn each round with S&D and everything. So he goes through and wipes the whole team twice as he's rapping. And, Blake and George's reactions are always hilarious to what he does. Blake is definitely like the, oh my God, Hitch, that was fire. And then George just comes in with his sauce and just kind of hypes it up too. So, that clip is definitely hilarious. I mean, those are another kind of guys that like definitely probably considered a smaller streaming community in Twitch. Like, they've definitely had a lot of success over the last few months and everything. So like, if you guys haven't watched them ever, definitely check them out. I know they broadcast off of Hitch's channel, Hitcher Ride. So, I mean, they, they're there, they're live pretty much almost every night. I would say 5 nights a week they're live. So, I mean, that's a group of guys that I think is definitely an inspiration for you and me and like everybody as far as gaming goes. Like, just hanging with your buddies, playing some games, having good vibes, and just enjoying what you're doing, and that clip kind of just encompasses everything that their stream is about, is, being competitive and playing well as far as in Call of Duty goes, but then just being a place where it's always entertaining, it's always funny, and, Hitch just brings that element and that group of guys of the comedic guy that can kind of start this bit, if you will, that just spirals into hilarity for them most of the time. So, I mean, they're hilarious, and that clip in particular, again, like I said, it doesn't surprise me, but it was definitely impressive with how he was able to drop such a fire beat and rap and also hit the clip that he did in the game is impressive as well.
The idea of what they've done is so unique, and I think that's why they've gotten like so much traction on Twitch. It's 3 high school buddies who have been friends for life and reconnected over video games, and just at the end of the day they just said, yo, let's do this thing, let's give it a shot. And to get to see all 3 of their face cams and then their different POVs when they're playing, I think it's just such a cool idea for them to be able to do that. So that's a shout out to Team Summertime for the clip of the week this week, and that's something we want to do every single week, and we're not always going to be able to find the clip, so it's up to you guys to send it to us. Find us on Twitter, DM us your clips, whether it be your best play, hilarious moment in your own stream, so we can give you a shout out, react to it, and look at it as the clip of the week. But before we go, I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we get out of here for episode 1, the inaugural one of the Zhack and Witness show?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. I mean, I think our goal here was to try and introduce everyone to us, introduce everyone to kind of what we want to talk about in general, whether it's, gaming, Twitch streaming, sports, life subjects, everything like that. So, I mean, we kind of wanted to get our foundation and our roots here. So, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything, and, I'm looking forward to next week's episode, and hopefully some of the new topics we'll branch into, hopefully get into some of the sports stuff that's been going on in the world, just with all the stuff that's going on and leagues not playing and all that. So I know that's definitely a topic of debate among a lot of different sectors and everything. So, that's something we can probably look forward to next week, but I think I'm good.
It's only up from here, consistency, and we're looking forward to bring in some guests on the show as well. We're gonna have some unique people that you may or may not know, and we're super excited for that. We can't reveal any of those yet, but some of them big time people, some of them like those smaller streamers that we talk about, but a lot of plans in the work, and it's super exciting in that aspect of things. But before we go, everyone, make sure you look at our socials, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, stay connected to us, send us your ideas ideas, anything you want us to talk about, join the conversation with us. Give us your reaction to things that we've talked about. Send us your clips to be part of the clip of the week, possibly. And just make sure you follow us, leave a like, subscribe, and we're going to be making this a consistent thing. So, I mean, I'm excited for the ride. Hopefully everyone else is strapped in and ready to enjoy it too with us. But we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. From the bottom of our hearts to everyone, again, for tuning in to the inaugural episode of the Zhack and Witness Show. So thank you so much. We love it. Love you guys. Look forward to growing with you, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.